Have you ever thought, why do I suck at fantasy football? Welcome. This is the Commissioner Fantasy Football Podcast.
And welcome back to the Commissioner Fantasy Football Podcast with your host, Eric. Giving you the previews for Week 9 coming up. It's been 8 weeks, so we're definitely past that halfway, almost halfway. 8.5 is the halfway. So 17 seasons for fantasy this year. So hopefully you're doing better. Hopefully you won this past week. But Week 9 is upon us. We have 4 more bye weeks. So the bye weeks are not as bad as I think Week 7 was probably the worst. We had way more bye weeks. But the Lions on the bye, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers. So your Tom Brady's and your Godwins and your Fournettes and all the good players for fantasy that have been great for fantasy for first 8 weeks are not there. So bear that in mind. Washington as well. So I think I have a few in some leagues where it's like, if you have a bunch of players from these teams. So I'm going to do a quick, during the games, I'm going to do a quick recap of players that we lost in Week 8 for the season. So there's a few that I'm going to talk about during the game previews. So a lot of, more injuries than other weeks probably. More significant, I think, because when you lose your top running back like a Derrick Henry, or what I'm going to get into, that's tough. That's not an easy loss to go through for the team, but especially for your fantasy, it is. He's the first draft pick, and he probably got you to 5-2 or 6-2 or 7-1, or you're up there in the winning with him. So I know I have him one league, and I'm 6-2. So now I'm going to be like, okay, what's going to happen next? So it's not fun times when that happens. So let's get into that. So I'll mention some of these things going on. I know other players are going to be missing, not for injury purposes, but just for mental health issues too. So that was a shocker on Sunday. I have some shares of that player as well. So let's start with the first game, and I'll go back and reference some of the games back in Week 8. But the first game is Thursday night. It's not the Packers and the Cardinals. I said the Packers had a good chance of winning, and I was hopeful, and they won. It was a crazy game. So if you want to go back, if you didn't watch that game, go and watch it. It was just a fun game to watch from not a fantasy perspective, but from just all kinds of weird things happening in that game. But this week we have the Jets who just won for the second time this year against the Bengals, my second favorite team that I came out last week saying that was my second favorite team. That was a bad call that hit towards the end that could have given at least the Bengals a chance to come back and tie the game, maybe go into overtime, but refs kind of messed that one up. But you have the Jets at the Colts. Colts lost a bad one with Tennessee, and Carson Wentz seems to throw weird interceptions every game. And this one was, if you did go watch some highlights, it's pretty interesting. And I'll try to put it on here. I'll try to put the Carson Wentz interceptions for you to see if you're watching this for some entertainment purposes. But Carson Wentz now, and I'll talk about him first, he's a quarterback that can be relied upon for fantasy, especially these next couple of weeks. Against the Jets. The Jets, again, their secondary is decent. They're not that bad of a team defensively, especially with their coaching. But Carson Wentz is a playable asset, especially next week. He faces Jacksonville at home. Again, these are indoor games. Weather's getting bad. So it's a good thing to say, hey, pick up Carson Wentz. I picked up Carson Wentz in a few leagues because I have some buys coming up. Burrow's buy. I have Burrow in the league. His buy is coming up, and I picked up Wentz just because he's facing Jacksonville. Look what Geno Smith did against Jacksonville. I don't think it was Geno Smith and Tyler Lockett and Metcalf kind of coming together. It was more of the fact that this is Jacksonville. And Jacksonville traveling doesn't seem like a good thing. That team's just a big old mess. So Carson Wentz is a good start, and I said Pittman Jr. look Michael Pittman Jr. is the guy there. Carson Wentz found the guy. He's looking for him. And again, good start, Jonathan Taylor. So now you have kind of 3 starts moving forward from this team. T.Y. Hilton monitored his injury. He had some targets, some deep targets, and just kind of missed out, but he still looks like he's not 100%. So I'm not trusting him. Mo Alley Cox, the tight end, I'm not going to trust on a Thursday night. I think there's better tight ends out there to play. But it could be a tight end thing. It could be, you could plug him in, he might get 2 touchdowns Thursday. That's the thing with tight ends. It's just hard to predict. For the Jets, Michael Carter, the rookie running back, is like the second best running back right now as a rookie. And his usage is significantly improving every week. I said last week, he's a pass catcher. I had to start him in a few leagues. I should have started him. Should have been easy wins for me. But I held him back on my bench. And now I'm like, this guy cannot be held on the bench anymore. He's being utilized. He's a great talent. Looks good. And then, so I read Zach Wilson might be practicing, but Mike White's probably going to be the quarterback for Thursday. It's a short week. Mike White probably, I think I had a look, but he might have finished as the number 1 quarterback, which is crazy. So backup quarterback. Backup quarterbacks had a good week. But I'm not going to start him in this game against the Colts. I think they have a better secondary than the Bengals, but maybe it's similar, but I don't think Mike White is going to come back and have the same game. For pass catchers out there, I don't know. I'm not going to. Crowder might be good to start. Corey Davis is practicing. Monitor that. If Corey Davis doesn't play, maybe you can start Crowder, but I'm not going in that direction. The Colts defense seems to be like a good start, and I still think I would start them because the Jets are still the Jets. So they're kind of like a top 12 defense if you want to pick them up, or you couldn't pick up somebody and people are scared to play them against the Jets on Thursday. Thursday nights are usually low scoring, short week. All right, enough about that game. Next, we have the Browns at the Bengals, and my Bengals. The Browns lost the bad one against the Steelers. Their defense still good. Again, we're playing in Cincinnati. Monitor the weather there. The weather's getting bad in every state now. It's not as bad as any time in Cleveland. Cleveland's like the worst weather usually, even worse than Green Bay. For the Browns, Nick Chubb. Everybody else, I'm not trusting. People started Landry. Oh, what a fail. Higgins, no. Odell Beckham, no. I don't know who to start. And the Bengals are going to come. I think they're going to come back and say, hey, we should have won the last game. Let's come in here. I think the Bengals take this one. They're favored by 3 already. So the Bengals, this is a Sunday morning game. Clock changes too. Just make sure you change your clocks if you live anywhere but Arizona. So that's it. I'm just going to start the Chubb for the Browns. Maybe Jackson, but I still Chubb got his job back. You could play around with that, but I'm not going to. I'm just not. For the Bengals, Joe Burrow for me is still a good start. Jamar Chase was definitely double teamed. You could tell. That's why Higgins, a boy, had a better game. But I was still start Jamar Chase. You don't want to lose out on the big play. Again, he's being targeted in the end zone by Burrow. He's the main target for Burrow. So you don't want to lose that just because you think he's going to be double teamed. Again, talent, usage, targets over possibly being double teamed. Because again, Tyler Boyd's out there. People are going to be monitoring that. Or defense will be monitoring that as well. That Joe Burrow has other weapons, not just Jamar Chase. So Joe Mixon's a good start. Jamar Chase is a good start. I'm probably going to start Boyd in the league because I have my other options fell. I have McLaurin on bye, so I'm gonna start Tyler Boyd. T. Higgins, I still think you could start. He's getting targets, not enough maybe, but it depends on the weather. If the weather is decent, I'm starting all these 3 wide receivers, and hopefully all of them hit, but one of them will hit. So Joe Mixon, Burrow, and Cincinnati defense, I might start them, but it's a Thursday night. Oh, that's not a Thursday night game. Well, it feels like a Thursday night game, but it's not. All right, second game, Broncos at the Cowboys. Talking about backup quarterbacks, Cooper Rush. If you watched that Sunday night game, it was a doozy. just to watch this guy throw over 300 yards, a couple of passes, I think a couple of touchdowns. I mean, Zeke didn't look like Zeke, but then again, they were playing a decent team. Vikings are not a bad defense. They seem to lose lots of games, but they're a decent defense. So for the Broncos, I know they won, but they still don't look good to me. But again, Jerry Jeudy, I'm starting him in the league. I'm not trusting anybody on the Broncos. Noah Fant, I'm done. Like I can't start him. I'm probably have to because usually he'll do something in this game. But Broncos don't look good. I mean, they fumbled. Javonte Williams fumbled. Melvin Gordon fumbled. The Cowboys are not that bad of a defense. If you need to start somebody, Jerry Jeudy for me is the number one priority start. I think he's going to get more targets. He's the better wide receiver out there. And that's it. I mean, I'll probably have to start Javonte Williams in the league. You can start Melvin Gordon. Tough. I mean, this team has all the pieces, and they just traded their best defensive player. Well, used to be probably, but to the Rams. So if you didn't hear that in news, but that relative to fantasy. For the Cowboys, look, if Cooper Rush starts, I'm not starting Cooper Rush as a backup quarterback again, just because they got a good game. I think Broncos still have a better defense. I will start Dak Prescott if Dak Prescott's playing. Zeke, you got to start. It's just frustrating. I have Zeke in the league, and it's just like I'm 2-6, and I don't know what else to do. So I'm just plugging him in and wishing that he does well. Like, best wishes, Zeke. I don't know. What else do you do? CeeDee Lamb looks like for me, and Amari Cooper, just good starts. I know Schultz should have had a better game, but again, they had a backup quarterback last minute. I started Schultz because it's just Dak was kind of last minute no go. So that's it. I'm not starting any defenses for this game unless Cooper Rush plays, but I'm not sure. Like I think he's got this thing on his shoulder, like not a chip on his shoulder, but he's got a swag up according to, and they plan really well. So the Cowboys, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but they've been planning very well for their games, and they've been using their best assets, and they have a lot of good assets on defense and on offense. So they look like a legitimate contender now. Sucks to say that. Next game, Texans at the Dolphins. These are all morning games. Texans, David Johnson was supposed to have a better game. He didn't. He threw you a dud when Mark Ingram was traded back to his former team of the Saints. David Johnson was supposed to come back and play, not even garbage time. Nothing. Usage was like down. I don't know what happened. I only started him like a DFS lineup. That was it. I don't have any shares of David Johnson, but what happened? I don't know. Look, Brandon Cooks, you could just plug in your lineup and just, even in garbage, he'll get you some garbage points. Nobody else for the Texans. For the Dolphins, look, you could start Gaskin, you could start Waddle, you could start even, sometimes you can do Gesicki. You could start Mr. Gesicki and Tua. Like you start all these, like Parker's back. They look good. So if you need a wide receiver, Parker might not be a bad kind of replacement for somebody on bye. But these are all the players you can start against a bad Texas defense. They look at times good, but they give up points. So Dolphins should be easy win for them. They're favored by 7. Falcons at the Saints. Falcons, I just mentioned earlier, Calvin Ridley just didn't retire from football, but looks like he's taking a long break for mental health. Looks like he's got some issues. Best of luck to him. I have him in 2 leagues, and it sucks. It sucks for the Falcons offense. The only person I want to trust, and especially in this game against the Saints, which defense came out and beat the Bucs with the backup quarterback. So for the Falcons, I'm not trusting anybody in this game except Patterson. He looks like he's utilized. He was utilized less this game for some reason. Like, you use him. But I'm not starting. Like, Gage had a big fast 0. Ridley's not there. Kyle Pitts, you probably have to start. But he might be the guy targeted by Lattimore, especially the way Kyle Pitts is playing. So not a lot of good starts for the Falcons. Probably a tough week for them. Saints are only favored by 6. I think it's because Jameis Winston's gone, but Jameis Winston wasn't doing that well. Let's talk about the Saints. Jameis Winston out for the season. with a bad injury. If you saw that injury, it's just like bad tackle. That tackle sucked. I have Winston, some shares of Winston, but Taysom Hill will probably be the backup quarterback. I know what's his name came in, Samian, came in and played a pretty decent game, but Taysom Hill knows the offense, has been with the offense. This sucks for Kamara, Alvin Kamara. Well, Mark Ingram coming back, sucks for Kamara. And now Winston's gone, sucks for Kamara because Taysom Hill will run in touchdowns. That will take away from Kamara's touchdown. So that's some bad news from Kamara. But you start Kamara. Michael Thomas, just monitor if he comes back. I would definitely probably play him as well. So he has history with the team. On the Saints defense, you start the Saints defense on this one. All right, we have Raiders at the Giants. Monitor Waller. Hopefully he's back. For the Raiders, you're looking to start Josh Jacobs. Derek Carr, I'm not going to trust. Renfro might be a decent start just because this is a tough defense, and we'll see what happens with the Giants, because I'm recording this before Monday night's game when the Giants go to the Chiefs. So hopefully there's not a lot of significant injuries that might change that. But for the Raiders, Waller, you would start. Jacobs, you would start if Waller plays. And then if Waller doesn't play, I think Brian Edwards is the guy kind of replacing him. They're similar built. Well, not as nobody's built as Waller. Darren Waller, he's a massive guy. But you could start Brian Edwards possibly. Again, the Giants' defense is pretty good, but they will give up some points. For the Giants, Barkley, if he's back, you can start Barkley. And then the wide receivers, it's like, I don't know. Raiders have a decent defense, actually. So in this game, if Barkley's back, I'm just going to put Barkley in and hope for the best. And hopefully he's fully healthy, 100% back and going. I don't have any shares of Barkley, but we need these running backs back. We need Christian McCaffrey back. We need Barkley back. We need all these guys back. It just makes fantasy football more fun. Next game, Patriots at the Panthers. Patriots beat the Chargers. Just a well-coached team. I'm not going to start any Patriots except Damian Harris in standard leagues, half-point PPR. You can start him. Jacoby Myers. I try to start Hunter Henry, and when I start him, he doesn't get a touchdown. It's just like, especially against his old team. Come on, Belichick, you should have done something. Whatever. For the Panthers, Christian McCaffrey won't be back. So Chaba Hubbard. You can start again, even though the run defense for the Patriots is not bad. And DJ Moore is the only other option I'm starting from the Panthers. Hopefully they're kind of getting back together, but New England's favored in this game. So what happened to the Panthers, man? I'm not going to even, that's a silly game. The next game, Bills at the Jaguars. Well, hopefully the Bills, I mean, they seem like at the end, when you look at the stat line for the Bills, it seems okay. But you watch that game, if you watch that game, the first three quarters against the Dolphins at home, something's off with the Bills, and I don't know what it is. They looked good. They lost some bad games. They could have lost this against the Dolphins until they started putting things together. But look, you're going to start Josh Allen, you're going to start Diggs. Cole Beasley for me is now as a start. Until Knox comes back, Cole Beasley is a start. Emmanuel Sanders give you a fast 0. Probably next week he'll give you 200 yards. But this is against Jacksonville Jaguars. So I probably will start majority of players. Zach Moss, if you're like in a pinch, Zach Moss or Singletary. I'd rather start Zach Moss. I'd rather start none of them. But if you have to, this might be a decent game, because they're favored by 14. That should definitely go up. You're in better weather. You're coming from New York to Florida seems like a vacation. So that should be pretty much, that's it. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm not starting anybody. On James Robinson, hopefully for me, I have shares of Jim Robertson. Hopefully he misses, because it's not a good game to come back playing against his defense. So this is a total buzzkill. Monitor his injury. James Robinson almost went down for the season, but he should be okay. So just monitor that. Nobody's starting from the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I'm starting the Buffalo defense. So I have Buffalo in some leagues, and this should be a decent start. Next, still morning games. Vikings at the Ravens. Ravens off the bye week. Look, Ravens, Lamar Jackson, you start. You start Mr. Andrews. You start for the running backs. I'm not going to do it. It's not going to go back to Devonta Freeman. got me a touchdown, but I'm not going to go there. Ravens defense, maybe a good start in this one. So Jackson and Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown is a good start. And that's it. For the Vikings, like Dalvin Cook, you start. Jefferson had a bad game, but you start him. Thielen had a way better game, which is interesting, but you start Thielen because I don't know what else to do. You can't just say him and he'll give you 2 touchdowns. And that's it for the Vikings. I'm not really interested in anybody else anymore. Not their tight end, nobody else. All right, afternoon games. 3 really good afternoon games. We have the Chargers at the Eagles, which Chargers are favored by 2.5, but I think the Eagles are going to take this one. The Eagles look like they came back. I think they're on the run, and I talked to a buddy of mine that's an Eagles fan. I think the Eagles are finally back on the run to say, hey, we're coming back. I know Miles Sanders, but he wasn't even a factor. Sucks. I don't know where game 1 went, but Boston Scott looks like he got a majority of the carries, and then, yeah. So hopefully Gainwell kind of gets his game back. I don't know what else to say about that. But for the Eagles, like Jalen Hurts, he's a solid start, and especially against Chargers have a good defense, but they've been blown out so many times. And they're traveling across country. For the Chargers, look, you're going to start Herbert. You're going to start Keenan Allen. You're going to start Mike Williams. Mike Williams had an off game, but I think he'll be back. And Eckler. So in this one, Eagles defense depends on the weather. Like they're borderline defense for me to start. It should be a good game. But I'm taking the Eagles on this one. Like I think the Eagles are coming back to get that to get that playoff berth. A second game, which I'm really interested in, is the Packers at the Chiefs. Hopefully everybody's healthy from the Chiefs game because I want this to be a great game. No matter who wins, I want Mahomes and Rodgers at it. That's just good TV. Packers. Devonta Adams will be back. Alan Lazard will be back. Tanyan's out for the year. For the Packers, it's very easy. You can start Aaron Rodgers. Solid start. Aaron Jones is a good start for me. Devonta Adams. Alan Lazard, hopefully, just because Tanyan's not there. But again, it could be like Cobb, 2 touchdowns again, or the touchdown again. So very difficult to gauge. Maybe I would back off on Lazard, but Packers needed wide receivers. Some of them came through. But if you watch that game, it's funny how the rookies were making mistakes. You could tell that they're not used to the way the Packers play. That's for the Packers. For the Chiefs, Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill. That's it. Darrell Williams. And should be a good start if he's healthy because there's no really other running back there. Should be a good game. Not for maybe fantasy purposes, I think should be a good game, but just a good game to watch. Hopefully the Chiefs are back. Hopefully they're competitive because Chiefs being competitive just makes good football. So that should be a good game. And then the last game, Sunday afternoon, Cardinals at the 49ers. Cardinals monitor Kyler Murray's injury. He was injured in the end of the Packers game. Hopkins has a hamstring injury. AJ Green, Moore made a lot of mistakes in that game. 49ers came off a win. They're playing at home. Cardinals not traveling that far. But, man, I think the 49ers might take this one. Arizona's only favored by 2.5, but I think the Cardinals might lose back-to-back weeks, especially if Kyler Murray's not 100%. I think the 49ers take it to them. They get this opportunity. For the 49ers, we'll monitor George Kittle. I don't know if he's going to be back, but monitor this week at this early recording. Just monitor. If he's back, you play him. Deebo Samuel, you're going to play. He's just getting so much usage. And Elijah Mitchell. And then if you're in the pinch, like in the 2-quarterback league, Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, could be a decent start. Now, A Sunday night game, which is better than the Monday night game. A Sunday night game, we have the Titans now without Derrick Henry, who's out for the season. So that really sucks. Then for the Titans, would you start Tannehill? I wouldn't. I wouldn't start. A.J. Brown, you just have to plug him in and start because he's A.J. Brown. But we'll see what the Titans do. Trading deadline's coming up. We'll see who they get. There's a lot of rumors speculating that they're going to get a running back, trade for a running back. So just monitor that. Whoever they get, I would get them on the waiver wire, but I wouldn't play them in this game. I think the Rams have a solid game. For the Rams, it's Stafford now. Henderson, you got to start Woods. You got to start Kupp. Higbee, I'm out on. Just looks like just these guys are being used. These guys are talented, and this is the Rams today. Darrell Henderson is the man. He's pass catching, red zone targets. So Rams, I think, is a good start in this one. Rams defense. There you always start Rams defense. Sunday night game, not such a doozy. The Bears traveling to the Steelers. The Bears defense have some injuries, so they have some issues. Steelers just Ben Roethlisberger. Man, Ben. Hopefully I always think he's going to get it together, but he doesn't. But you're going to start Deontay Johnson and you're going to start Najee Harris, and that's it. Steelers defense, you're going to start in this game. Bears fields look better, but I'm not trusting anybody except Khalil Herbert, the running back. Even against this tough run defense, you're going to have to probably start him unless you have a better option. And then that's it. I mean, still Allen Robinson's nothing. Fields just missing on passes, just not all there. And this is not a great time to figure out in Pittsburgh on the Monday night. So monitor the weather. Pittsburgh favored by almost 7, by almost a touchdown. And that's pretty much it. So look, good luck in your starts. Good luck in week 9. Hopefully you get a win. Any questions, hit me up for starts and sits. But look, all you have to do is just every day monitor your team. If you're on the sleeper app, monitor the sleeper app for injuries, things like that. Just little things like that help. That's all I'm saying. Just keep monitoring. Fantasy football is not hard. You monitor. Listen to me. And that's it. And then you kind of move forward and you make some tough decisions. Sometimes you make the wrong decisions. But don't give up. This is like we're halfway through. And as long as you don't give up, you should be, again, the goal is to make the playoffs. And then that's where you put your focus in. You make the playoffs and you just focus, waiver wire. And then you can win your championships. So until next time, thank you for listening and good luck in week 9. Bye.
Dude, you better not be sleeping after that podcast. That was an amazing message. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Commissioner. Also subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Any comments, questions, concerns, send them to the Instagram page, The Commissioner, your fantasy football guide.